Oh shit.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Dead Funny Podcast. I'm your host, Chris. Joining me today are my co-host, Kelsey and Bree Bree. What's going on, guys? And gals.
Lots of nonsense.
A lot of nonsense. Fair enough.
Yep.
So, something I'm extremely excited about. Fucking E3. We are so close to E3. We're really not. April, May, June. Yeah, we're pretty close to E3. We're pretty close to E3. I'm excited. I'm so goddamn excited.
Do you want a cookie?
Did you both convince yourself that we were really close and not close at all?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much how that happened. Like, some people would think, oh, Chris, it's only 2 months away. That's not that long, to where it's like, 2 months is kind of long, though. But then it's kind of not long. But then it kind of is long. Look.
Are you excited about E3, Chris?
Yes, I am. Because the day before E3, Square Enix is having a Final Fantasy VII music
I didn't say R.
concert.
I said Y.
Oh, I'm telling you right now. What do you want from me? Final Fantasy VII music concert the day before. Every time Square Enix has done this, they've released a trailer and a fucking release date to their game. They did it for Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3. They did it for some of the Final Fantasy games. So could we finally get the fucking release date for my goddamn remake? Maybe. Just maybe.
God, I would so love if they came out at the end of that and you're sitting there, you're salivating, watching some live stream thing, like waiting for it, and they're just like, so the update is we're not doing it this year, guys. Sorry, it didn't come through. Because you would cry.
It wouldn't even be that.
You'd break shit. It'd be amazing.
It wouldn't even be that. It would just be the director coming out going, so it's coming along very smoothly, all right? It's coming along great. We'll have more information when we have more information.
The real miracle would be if we go an episode on the course of Dead Funny without talking about Final Fantasy. That's the real miracle.
I was literally about to say hashtag last episode, but that is false. I did bring it up.
Yeah, that is fair. You did bring it up.
To talk about how old I was. That's true. Yep, that's true.
God, you never, ever stop about this subject.
Look, I got like Cloud on my desk. I've got my original hard copy on my desk. I've got my fucking I got my fucking strategy guide on my desk. All right, I am like surrounded by Final Fantasy VII all day.
No, Chris, I'm not actually convinced you're a fan. You need to tell me about more things that you have because no one believes you.
Actually, to
Kelsey,
be fair,
stop opening doors we don't want to open.
I don't have this. I don't have this, but I really want it. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Online on Amazon, there's this company that takes records and turns them into designs and like puts them into a clock. So the entire clock is a record.
I've seen it.
And they have some Final Fantasy VII ones that look fucking amazing. We're talking like full body Cloud and Tifa like standing together, and the bottom of the record is like still like a record, but it's got like Final Fantasy VII etched into it. Like, it looks really fucking cool. And they're like $30. That's not bad at all. Like, that would be a great fucking clock to put in my fucking office. Just right up there. So I just look at it. It'd be great.
See, Chris, for things like that, you really should just start making a list. That way when somebody, like a family member or something's like, oh, Chris, what do I need to get for Christmas? Like, that's an easy one. Like, $3 for a family member. That's a reasonable, like, oh, okay, I'll get you that kind of gift. Like, that would work.
See,
you should
I would
just start
rather
making a list.
everybody just give me their money so I can get my cosplay on, because I need to get my Cloud outfit. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. It'd be great.
Well, this one is...
She's looking this up right now, isn't she?
Yeah, I guess so. Anyways. So they have... Sony has not shown up to E3. Square Enix has Sony Spotlight, which is prime time. And why would they have prime time unless they're going to unveil a great fucking video game, hopefully Final Fantasy VII. I do know that they are working on an Avengers video game, which would be pretty cool. But I don't know whether or not, that's actually going to come to life or not. So, no, you should have showed her the Final Fantasy one. That one sucked. But no, that is, I don't know what company did that one. Like, the clockwork is a little bit different than one I've been looking at. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool ones out there. They do tons of different fucking video games and animes and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Sorry that my selection was not worthy to be viewed.
Sucked.
It just wasn't Final Fantasy, which of course
fucking sucked.
I feel sorry that you had to go through DFU with him in Final Fantasy. That's that's what I feel.
Sad part is it was an hour and we only covered the first mission. So
Yep. We got a lot more to come. Everybody get very excited.
oh yeah.
Kelsey, why did you allow this to happen?
Well, once the idea happened, there was no stopping Chris.
No.
There's no reining it in.
No.
That's not how that works. All you have to do is just wave the Final Fantasy VII bone in front of my face and I'm gone. Done. Oh man.
Yeah.
But like I said,
Fans don't know. Never mind. Continue.
Yeah, if they don't know,
Go ahead.
that's crazy. But hopefully I get that. But there's so much to look forward to at this fucking E3. Like, oh my gosh. Fucking Horizon Zero Dawn 2 possible announce date. Yeah? Yeah. Your game.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yes.
might happen. Fuck. Definitely said there was going to be some kind of news about it. That
Horizon
would be
Zero
crazy.
Dawn 2.
I mean, good lord, Bree. Sooner or later. You need to know something.
Yeah, if they got a clock for that, let me know, because I'll buy it.
Wouldn't fucking surprise me. But
That would actually surprise me, because that would be hard to. Some of that would be hard to translate onto a record.
I could see them doing like her like shooting a bow and it like be like her face, because they have like one of like fucking Snape from goddamn Harry Potter, and like it's his face and he's casting like a fucking spell and it looks like really fucking detailed. Like it's pretty crazy.
That is cool.
So I'd be amazed. I'd be amazed. But yeah, so I'm super fucking pumped for E3. Oh my gosh, depending on what streaming software it is gonna be on, I might try to fucking record like me reacting to E3 and put it out here. I'm not promising anything, but that'd be pretty fucking dope. Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. And like imagine
It's just
being
gonna
able,
be you screaming.
imagine being able to see me react to them telling me that the Final Fantasy VII remake is coming out at the end of this year.
You would scream like a little girl.
You should react to the last episode of Game of Thrones.
No. We literally wouldn't be able to put that out for like ever. In the moment we do it, there's still no guarantee we'd be able to keep it up either.
Forever? What do you mean forever?
Well, there's like with certain like big time fucking shows and shit like that, there's like different fucking. It's a bunch of whole different kinds of bullshit that falls under the fair use category. So, yeah. Well, you said something, but you didn't actually say something. If you catch my drift.
Yeah, nobody heard you. What was that?
Well, everyone can just watch our faces. We'll like zoom in on our faces, but no one gets to watch the episode. So they're just all looking right at our faces. That's it.
See, the best part about that would be when things are happening and we're just like, and they can't tell what we're reacting to. And so it's just, oh, like, that's all they're gonna get.
No, they can recognize some stuff. I want to talk about it so bad.
Tomorrow.
Nope. Wait. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yep. Oh man, but fuck, I'm so pumped for E3. I hope that we get like, I don't know. It's rough because I just feel like video games just aren't as good as they used to be. It's rough.
They need to remake Fable. That's what they should release at E3. See, say they're remaking Fable. Have you ever played Fable, Kelsey?
I actually have. It was one of those that I got to because everybody was talking about it at one point, and so I went and played it. And I did not set up my spells very well to beat the final guy, so I quit because I couldn't beat him. I was very mad. Because there's a point at the end of Fable where you can't go back anymore. Like, you can't go back.
Oh.
And I needed Healy stuff, and I needed other things, and I didn't have my spell set up properly, and so I could not go back. So there was nothing I could do. So
the first one?
It was the first one, yeah.
You gotta play Fable 3.
Is that worth playing?
Fable 2 and 3?
Yeah. They're pretty good.
I didn't even play Fable 1.
They're pretty good. I enjoyed them.
Graphics look kind of old now.
Good lord.
Yeah, the graphics probably look horrible. Probably worse on a 4K TV. That's probably going to hurt to look at, but that's okay.
I struggle. I really am really into graphics, so I tried playing Fable again. I was like, man, they need to remake this.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah, graphics
Yes,
are
they
the
do.
bigger deal to me. I like just the overall. I mean, if
We
a game
know.
has great storytelling, it's great. That's all you need to know.
Anyone that can play Final Fantasy 100 billion times must not be a big deal.
Those graphics are fucking beautiful. Okay, just stop your shit. All right, those graphics are fucking phenomenal. Love it.
Yeah.
Is
You
there
should get-
anything you don't like about Final Fantasy VII?
About 7? No, the game's perfect in every single way. So there are things I don't like
There's-
about the Final Fantasy genre, or I guess series, I should say, not
No.
genre, but series.
No,
maybe.
7.
But
We're not
7,
opening the door for you to talk about the rest of them.
7.
That
No.
ain't happening.
Game was phenomenal. Game was absolutely amazing. 7 was so good that Square Enix literally made their next 2 Final Fantasy games in the same year, trying to do like that was like their break. That was their big break. Like Final Fantasy was a somewhat okay RPG series. 7 was what literally brought that series to America and made it stay. Like it was literally basically a JRPG until 7. And after that, like they spent. It's actually funny. I was listening to a documentary where they were talking about the reason why Final Fantasy VIII has never been remade or remastered, but all the other ones have, is because there was so much work put into both 8 and 9, and they were making the Spirits Within movie all at the same time to try to like keep the interest in the Final Fantasy series and not have people lose interest so quickly after 7 was done, that a lot of the original save files they physically just don't have anymore. So they would have to basically completely remake the game. Like that's how much of a hurry they were in when they were like, we did it. Like we did it, boys. Like now we got to keep us afloat. Quick, let's make games. Like that's how fucking
That's
much of an impact
insane.
7 had. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. This game was fucking huge when it came out. So, which is funny to me.
Chris,
'cause
I
that's
like how
Tony's
you
favorite.
have.
Go ahead.
I like how you have only 2 modes. You have hate and is perfect. I will brook absolutely no nonsense or hard word against this. This is perfection. Like there is no in between for you.
I love
You are a
It's
man of
absolutely
extremes.
100% true. Like that's not a lie.
It's great. It's great.
And if he hates something extremely, and then later on likes something, it switches. There's nothing in between. And then he denies he ever hated it before. It goes straight to, wow, this is amazing.
It's so true. That's how
This
it
has
was.
never frustrated her. Can you tell that it has never once driven her crazy?
she was there for the switch that happened between Halo and Call of Duty. So I was so like, Halo's the best, Call of Duty fucking sucks. Anyone that plays Call of Duty, you're fucking terrible. Da 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 da. And her and all my friends were like, let's fucking try it out. You'll like it. It's a good game. Just try it out. You'll like it. I was like, no, absolutely not. It's trash. And then I fucking played Modern Warfare 2, and I was like, I mean, I guess I can see how people like it, but it's still a terrible game. And then I met Transit Zombies for the first time in Black Ops 2. And that was it. My heart was bought at that point. And everybody's like, "What happened to Chris? Would never play Call of Duty?" I was like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Should never happen." I have no idea what you're talking about at all. Nope. Mm-mm-mm.
Well, at least you're loyal. I guess you got that going for you.
Oh, I fucking love my 7. All right, I love it. It's great. It's fantastic. Oh,
Oh, I've been making these horrible mistakes lately of listening to Crime Watch videos while at work, or just like listening to them in general. And it like super good. And I'm just curious if like you do this at all, Kelsey. I think I know Chris doesn't, but like, do you ever listen to them and then like one time I was just sitting there working, all of a sudden like my heart starts racing. I feel like I have like a little mini panic attack coming on. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be listening to this. These stories are starting to impact me.
Yeah. I especially in tax season, I would get really into murder podcasts. And there was one day I was listening to one, and they actually had audio because the guy was recording because he thought people were breaking into his house, and they were. And so there was audio, and then you hear him. I'm like, I'm doing someone's taxes, and I hear
Yeah.
this guy shoot a teenage girl, and then like walk up to her dying body and call her a bitch, and like walk off, and my brain just all of a sudden was like, this is what you're really listening to? And I like I need to go walk this off. This is dark, this is morbid, this is not okay. And I had to like set them aside because it was way too intense, and so I had to just stop listening to them because it was too much. It was way too much. But the main people who listen to those types of podcasts, any and all of them, whether they're that intense, way too intense, all the way down to some of the more like some of the tamer ones where they shield you from a lot of that crap. Number one, soccer moms. That is the number one form of entertainment for soccer moms, which really surprised me because I'm like, they've got their little kids in the car usually, but they turn it off for the kids, I think, usually.
I read that females actually tend to listen to it more, and I know why. I like to listen to it personally because it actually blows my mind that people can be like that, and I want to understand it almost. I'm just like, I want to kind of understand how people could even be like that, not empathize with people, lack that empathy to know what someone's pain is. So I don't know. I look for I like looking and seeing what maybe the triggers were. Like a lot of them, they talk about when they were kids, they used to have parents that abused them, alcoholics, they abandoned them. But there's some that had perfect families and like were perfectly fine growing up, and then this just small little thing supposedly triggered them, and you're like, what? It's really weird.
Yeah, I absolutely same thing. I was listening to try to understand the mindset of how you could get to that point, because you and I are similar in the fact that we're extremely empathetic. We really care about people, and I think you and I, there's like, we'd have to be pushed so far before we would respond with violence, let alone violence that could possibly like truly cause like serious bodily harm or death. Like that would be so far for us. So like me trying to figure out how somebody's brain would get there so much faster. And then, man, some of the trends that they see with like head injuries when they're young and wetting the bed well past the age of like 10 and stuff like that. And it's just like, these are really weird things in serial killers. It's very interesting.
Well, most serial killers, which I think most people know, tend to hurt animals first or whatever.
Yes.
And that's like huge,
which I know is something
how they value life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. Have you watched on Netflix for a while? They had the Mindhunters. Have you watched that?
Was it a reality or a...
It's a retelling of when the FBI started and piloted their profiling program for serial killers, when they were like, we have enough of these, we need to start figuring out what the common denominator is between these guys. We need to figure out their plans, their MOs. Like before that happened, they just like, oh, this randomly happens and we don't really know anything about it. But it was the two officers that started interviewing these guys and seeking to understand, and so that way they could stop them moving forward. And it's really good. It's well cast, well acted, really intense, but they also use actual stories. So I came home one day from working out. I'm exhausted. I'm miserable. I walk in. My husband is watching the show, and this like really scary looking dude is on my TV talking about these like creepy details from a murder. But the thing is, I've listened to enough of those murder podcasts that I knew this was a real person. And I'm like, holy crap, that's Ed Kemper. That actually happened. And Scott's like, yes, I'm aware of that. That's the whole point of the show. Please stop talking. But it's amazing how they try to stay very accurate. I don't know if they're perfect. I'm pretty sure they're not because they're a TV show, but it is really cool and definitely worth the watch.
Check it out. I'm really into that kind of stuff, so I probably will check it out.
You'd really like it. Check it out. It's worth it.
Yeah, I got
Chris, do you watch any of that kind of stuff?
I do not. The closest I ever got like hardcore into that is whenever we, a whole bunch of group of friends, we all went out to the DOA escape rooms, and they based the entire escape rooms off of America's first psycho killer, H.H. Holmes, and I got like fucking
Oh.
just fascinated with that whole thing.
Yeah.
I fucking was reading an entire fucking book on the guy about how like he built his hotel, and every week he fired the construction crew and brought in an entire construction crew, so there was not a single person besides
What do you
him
think
in the
fascinated
entire-
you about it?
I don't know. There was like not a single person in his entire hotel that had ever seen any room to completion besides him, and I was just like, that's fucking crazy. Like, just to even get the
There
money
are-
to be able to fucking do that kind of shit in general was just like, holy fuck. It was pretty nutty.
There are some theories that think he was actually Jack the Ripper because that was happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And for a little while, H.H. Holmes checked out of the United States because people were circling, going, "Hey, something's kind of wonky with this dude." And that was around the same time that he visited a friend in London.
Yep.
And all of this stuff started happening, and the murders are similar enough.
Did they not catch Jack the Ripper?
No.
Never caught him. They have no idea who he was.
Nope. No idea. Yeah. So that was probably like the only thing that ever like, and I don't even know why it did. It was just they're like, yeah, these are all fucking based off of him, and like we went through his basement, and then we went through one of the hotel rooms, and I was all like, this is pretty fucking interesting. So
The really shitty part is that these people don't deserve fame.
no,
They
No,
don't
they
deserve to
absolutely
be
not.
left in our history books and everything, but at the same time, like, I mean, look at us. We were listening to crime videos. Chris got super obsessed about that. It's because it's something that we're not used to. We don't it's unusual. We don't understand why people would want to do that. It will never not be left
And
in
as
our
human
history
beings,
books.
I agree with you, and I actually wrestle with this a lot because I'm like, this is something that we shouldn't be glorifying these people that are doing these horrible things. Human beings are also weirdly like there's a morbid fascination with some of these things, and I've had to check myself on morbid fascination to be like, hey, this isn't necessarily good for you. Like, don't give into this. But I've also had to recognize like Civil War. Families planned picnics to go out and sit on the hill and watch the battle, and that was a family event. And they watched people, and then they watched people die, and then they packed up their food and they went home. And
I actually didn't know
family
that.
yeah, legitimately happened. People, family events, group social events to go watch hangings. Like, we human beings, and that's just Western culture. It gets weirder and can get weirder when cultures, but human beings have had gatherings and a morbid fascination with death and watching people die for a really long time, and that doesn't make it okay. But I do find some comfort, like, okay, I didn't just come up with this. I'm not the first person to be like, oh yeah, this is really interesting. Creep. We all kind of are slightly weird. And you just need to be careful in how we do this and don't glorify these people or seek to replicate what they did, because that's not good, obviously. Don't kill people. General Dead Funny approved, don't kill people.
The scary part about it is that the serial killers are talking about how they read other serial killers do stuff and wanted to one up them, and it's kind of like the study that happened in Alaska when they wanted to see if news would impact them, because at this time and point that they did this study, they didn't have news to TVs with news on them to everyone where they could watch it and see what was happening around the world or what was happening around just the state in general. And they asked a bunch of people this question: if you could kill someone, how would you kill someone? And they really didn't know how to answer this question because they never really thought of it. But they're like, well, if I was going to get rid of someone, I guess I would use an ice pick or whatever tool they used during that time to hunt food in their area, and implemented the news and the media and everything like that. And then they had all these other ways of how to kill people and all these different styles, and they knew all different possibilities. It's like knowledge is good to an extent, but our media is definitely influencing, I think, our serial killers.
I
Thought
would
that we
agree with
have.
that. Yeah. I think our media is or like our news knowledge itself is neutral. It's how it's used, how it's directed, and whether it's a weapon or a tool, depending on who's using it.
And I'm very curious as to whether there is a huge spike in serial killers when media started.
Well, there's a huge spike in the 70s, like all of a sudden just serial killers everywhere. And there's a ton of different theories on why that could happen, including one of them about actually lead in gasoline fumes, which sounds crazy, but aerosolized lead has a huge impact on the aggressive portions of the brain. Like when we breathe it in, it triggers those portions of the brain. And there was lead in gasoline fumes. And so a lot of these serial killers have this long train and after this long period of time where they were really close to gasoline fumes, either because they were just like, I'm going to go kill all of these hitchhikers or various other things. And so there's a guess that, oh, hey, right when we took the lead out of the gasoline, huge drop off in serial killers.
Really?
So, yeah. So possibly causally related, possibly not. But it is something interesting to observe because we're not quite sure why there's this I say we, but historians are not quite sure why there was this huge spike of serial killers in the 70s, like ridiculous amount of serial killers, and then all of a sudden they stopped.
We do need to consider at what point did technology increase in DNA tracing
Oh,
and
yeah.
security cameras. I mean, I don't know when the decrease
There's a
happened,
lot.
but
Yeah.
they
There's a
get
lot of
away with
different
stuff nowadays. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
there's
mean,
definitely a lot of different factors, but
a little crazy though if it did spike when that happened, and then when it got taken away, it decreased. That
it's at least
True.
interesting.
Well, I mean, not only did they have that, but then they had all the drugs they were doing during that time too. You know,
Yeah, drugs everywhere. 70s, 80s, good time for drugs.
they act like no one does drugs like nowadays, but
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I'm not in
Actually-
those communities.
actually, a lot of them that I was watching too, they talked about how these people were either alcoholics or they did like some serious type of drugs and really probably deteriorated their brain significantly.
There's a lot of complexity and like cause of this kind of behavior. I think it'd be too like I think human beings are too complex to try to narrow the cause of homicidal behavior down to one thing. For somebody who has a desire to kill. Like I'm not talking about somebody like a spouse who's lashing out and because they're being beaten or something like that. Like that is a completely different thing. But serial killers, I don't think we can like narrow them down to just one thing that pushed them over the edge. I think there's a cornucopia of things that work together to create one very messed up individual.
I like this kind of talk.
Yeah.
I feel like we are very much freaking Chris out. So are you okay?
All I know is that if anything happens and Chris just suddenly isn't on Dead Funny anymore, you guys know the top 2 suspects to go after. This
Oh,
is
come on.
recorded
We would never
video
hurt you.
proof. Recorded video proof.
Elsie might.
Well, I'm the scary one. That seems fair.
Oh, man.
Oh, and that was a pretty good episode talking about murderers.
Serial killers.
Yeah, what a fucking note to wrap it up on. So, if you enjoyed that, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, turn on those notifications. That way you get notified every time we upload another video. Hit us in the comment section below to let us know if you need help or if you hashtag save Chris. There's also another option to hit in the comments below. And if you want to hit us up on a more direct form of communication and ask me if I'm okay or to blink once or twice, you can hit those Twitter links or come hang out with us on the Twitches and watch us play so that way you can monitor me and make sure that I don't just suddenly get stabbed in the back while playing a video game. And, yeah, have a good rest of your week. Yeah.